All right. You ready? Hour of 7 o'clock having arrived, I will call this meeting of the Hastings Planning Commission to order. Today is November 26, 2018, and this is a regular meeting of the Hastings Planning Commission. First item on the agenda, approval of minutes from our October 22nd meeting. Commissioners, any additions or corrections to the minutes as presented?
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Commissioner Alpha motions approval. Your second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Seth seconds. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. All right, next item on the agenda. Signworks variance. Mr. Fort?
Thank you very much. The planning commission is asked to consider the application for variance and make a recommendation to the city council on that. The existing M&H sign was installed about 14 years ago, which is just prior to the current sign codes we have now being enacted, which changed the regulations. Currently, signs are in that zoning district are allowed to be 6 feet tall or 9 feet tall if they have decorative base, and 50 square feet of sign area is allowed. The sign is currently grandfathered as a legal non-conforming use and may continue to be operated and have the sign faces switched out. The sign is currently about 17 feet tall and 100 square feet in base size on each side. This summer, the signal poles, which MnDOT has recently replaced, have obstructed the view of the sign from northbound traffic. The applicants are proposing to relocate the sign 100 feet to the north, without making any other changes to the sign. This will make the sign more legible by removing it from the cluttered intersection. However, non-conforming signs cannot be relocated unless they are granted a variance to the non-conformities, which in this instance is the sign's height and face size, square footage. The sign would require an 11-foot height variance and a 50 square foot size variance. The granting of variance requires several findings that must be satisfied by the city prior to approval. These include evidence that practical difficulties in complying with the regulations exist. Staff believes that leaving the sign in place does not allow for northbound visibility of the sign, and furthermore, requiring the property owner with an existing sign in good condition to remain legible in that location or disposal of the sign due to recent actions beyond their control or most practical difficulties. Another finding is that circumstances relating to these difficulties may not have been created by the landowner. The sign was visible when it was installed to the current codes at the time by the property owner. And this past summer, MnDOT unknowingly obscured the visibility of the sign with the installation of new light signals. The variance may also not alter the essential character of the locality. The character of the area will remain unchanged. The existing sign will not be modified other than its location, and will still be along the same street frontage on Union Street. And there are similarly sized non-conforming signs in that area. Staff notified immediate neighbors of the request and no comments have been received. Staff can answer any questions. The owner of the property has a representative here that can also answer any questions.
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Alpha.
Justin, what is the typical reasons that a grandfathered clause is vacated?
I'm sorry, I missed the last word.
Vacated? You know, what are the circumstances where you would no longer allow the grandfathering like that to take place?
Generally, when things are expanded, a lot of times if a sign had an existing face or size and they were wanting to modify something to the sign, like replace some structure, or replacing more than just a sign face, like the cabinet, they wanted to replace the cabinet, that might be a reason for variance. We haven't had a lot of them. The only one I can really think of is Spiral Pizza modified their sign probably 8 years ago when they put that digital sign on the top of it, and they were granted a variance. I believe they relocated the sign location slightly.
Thank you. I guess my question is more is, this thing is currently grandfathered into pre-code now. What kinds of things will vacate that grandfathering? I mean, when is that grandfathering no longer valid and they have to follow conformities?
Well, currently it would be grandfathered forever until the sign completely wears out. We wouldn't allow it to be rebuilt. If the poles rusted out and it fell over, or was a major volume roughly, or if it was destroyed by a storm or a vehicle hit it, they wouldn't be allowed to replace it without a variance.
Okay, thank you.
Other comments, questions? So I guess I have a couple of comments I'd like to make. I don't think it's true that it was visible before and isn't visible now. As I take a drive down the Google Maps street, and it's pretty obvious from the pictures even, right, that they're taken at different angles. And if you just back up a little bit so that you get the same angle on the sign, the old street lights also blocked the sign, from what I can tell. And the Google Maps thing also backs that up, right? That the signal lights already blocked it. The thing that seems to be additional is that the post is obviously taller and it goes up, and there's a post at some point that blocks the M&H sign, and there's an arm now that wasn't there before that stretches out, but that's up higher. So I don't know that it's true that it wasn't being blocked before. And I guess the practical difficulties in complying with the existing regulations, from my viewpoint, I look at it as, you know, the regulations are there for a purpose. It's because we wanted to establish a certain streetscape consistency along this corridor. It's when these things happen that it's our opportunity to put those in place. So I struggle a little bit with issuing a variance because of those two reasons. That I think moving it's a great idea, but I think the new sign should have to conform to the regulations as we have them written. I also have a question about, maybe Justin, you can answer this. There's a second sign down the street that they have. It's just a little monument sign, I guess it is, that has the gas price on it and a little M&H sign. How does that fit into the sign ordinance stuff?
They're allowed to have one sign per street frontage, so they could have three technically.
Right. And is that sign actually supposed to be on the other street frontage? Or can it be all three signs on one street frontage?
The code is very general. It says they're allowed to have one sign per street frontage. I think if it's located within a reasonable distance from a different street, it would have been allowed.
All right.
Let's see that. You print out.
Other questions or comments? Otherwise, I entertain a motion. If someone's so inclined.
Mr. Chair.
Of
So,
course.
Justin, you said that the existing sign has to be reused. I mean, so do we actually monitor that the same base and pole, and they're not gonna swap out and take the opportunity to put a new cabinet in and?
No, actually, just to clarify, I did mention something about validating a nonconformity, but really the only way to allow the sign to move is if it has been granted a variance to the height and the sign size. So once a variance is issued, the sign is now legal and meets any requirement forever. So if they wanted to replace the sign in the future, they could do so to the limits that are granted. Staff discussed if there was any type of a way we could allow it to be moved and still consider it a non-conforming sign, so that we wouldn't be, granting them the ability to have a taller sign forever, but just continue with the current non-conforming grandfather status that will eventually go away. But there really was no way to do that. The code is pretty clear that a non-conforming sign can't be altered and can't be moved. So that is a drawback of what has been suggested.
Mr. Chair. So Justin, does the code allow for there to be a sunset or life attached to it, that it can be moved under the variance, but if the cabinet needs to be replaced or some sort of trigger, then it has to go to conforming? I mean, do we have the ability to?
Our ability to put conditions on a variance are pretty strict. It has to
Okay.
have to be directed towards more safety type issues or issues to protect the surrounding area.
Okay.
They can't really relate to sunsetting or going back.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Alba.
Just a comment. I understand the necessity of grandfathering in something that was put in place before the new regulations were enacted. I'm not necessarily in favor of providing a variance that kind of overrides that ability for that son or that the grandfathering to go away. Now we're stuck with that permanently. That I'm not in favor of. I don't know if it's necessarily a good route or good precedence to set when we're trying to establish the new regs in the corridor.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Parsons.
Justin, can you remind, we just took action a couple weeks ago on, sign related things with the windows and electronic piece. So was that a percentage of the allowable square footage that could be, I forget, was it lit or motion, or how did that work? And so if we allow them to have double the square footage of signage, does that mean they have double for,
Yeah, with the, everything that's on there that you can read and see is pretty much.
it's just staying the
included
same?
as part of the sign phase. There was a provision in our ordinance, that said, only 25% of a sign can be a digital sign. The planning commission recommended and the city council approved that to be removed from the ordinance because, it was actually put in the ordinance in error.
Okay.
It was meant to be, having to do with window signs.
Right.
So that digital sign they have is included in that.
Okay.
square footage.
Other comments, questions? Anybody have a motion to come in?
I can make a motion.
Commissioner Alba?
With the fact that, I don't believe that the change in light poles really made a whole lot of difference. And the fact that the variance is going to eliminate the grandfathering, I'll make a motion to deny the variance request.
Is there a second? I will second the motion. Any final comments before we take a vote? So just a reminder, this is the motion on the floor is to deny the request for the variance. All those in favor of denying, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
So that was 3-2, if I heard right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Motion is denied.
And this will be going before the city council at their next meeting on December 3rd.
All right. Other business?
The only thing I've got is that, and John might have mentioned at the last meeting, but the Hudson project at Rivers Landing will be probably coming forward shortly for consideration for amendments to their site plan relating to generally like park improvements and things that weren't very specific at the time. It originally came before the planning commission. We've gotten pretty specific now, and just have a couple more details to work out. So we'll be seeing that shortly.
All right. Anybody else? Motion for adjournment?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 We are adjourned.